Welcome to Nice and Blunt. It's time for another win-loss pick video. This time we're talking about the NFC North. Very competitive division, a lot of moving parts, fun storylines. Let us get into it. We're going to begin with the reigning division champions, the Lions, who do have some moving parts in regards to the coordinator positions. Both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are gone. So will they replace them in-house with the proper candidates? I think they might fall off a little bit in both those categories. But let us begin. I think in week one, we may see some of those cracks start to show, maybe not a full cohesive unit overall in the field. I think Sunday at Green Bay is a loss to kick off the season opener. But in week two, Sunday morning versus Chicago, their former OC Ben Johnson comes to town and they beat up on the Bears. They win in week two. Then week three, they travel Monday night at Baltimore. And the last time they faced off against the Ravens, they lost in terrible fashion. So I see a bit of a blowout. Once again, I think the Ravens are definitely poised to win that game in Baltimore. An L for the Lions week three. But week four, they get back to 500 Sunday morning versus Cleveland. That's an easy one. That's a win. And then week five, Sunday at Cincinnati. Some weird vibes with the Bengals right now. They usually start off slow. I think the Lions can win even on the road. That's another win. And that game starts this winning streak that goes on for a few games here. I think week six, Sunday night at Kansas City, Jared Goff has beaten Mahomes not once but twice, never lost against the Chiefs. So I think it happens a third time. I believe the Lions will win on the road at KC. Then week seven, Monday night at Tampa Bay. I think once again, even on this road trip, they will beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. A tough one, and the bye is critical right after that. They're going to be tired, but I do think they head into the bye at 5-2 in week eight. So some much needed rest off the bye. They got Sunday morning versus the Vikings, and they will beat up on JJ McCarthy and Minnesota. So a win in division at home, followed by a week 10 game Sunday at Washington. They lost to Jaden Daniels in the playoffs, and I don't think their defense has the answers to stop him once again. I think that's an L against the Commanders in week 10. They're going on the road Sunday night at Philly the week after, and I think Saquon and the Eagles will win that one. I think that's a second straight L, their fourth of the season. In week 11, they're 6-4. Decent, but maybe not as good as last season. Then they get an easy matchup Sunday morning versus the Giants. That's a win. Then week 13, a traditional Thanksgiving matchup, this time again against the Green Bay Packers like 2 years ago. This time, though, they do win. They will not get swept by the Packers. So they lose the first one, win the second one, get that home victory that they need. Week 14, also a Thursday night game versus Dallas. Equal rest for both teams, and I think at home they definitely beat up on Dak Prescott and a lack of run game for the Cowboys. So yet another win, their third in a row, but this last stretch of the season, these last four games include some difficult ones. We have Sunday at the Rams, and I think with Stafford and the home crowd, I don't think they'll win against the Rams. I think at this point in time, the Rams start to figure out the Lions, and this is an L for Detroit. Week 16, Saturday versus Pittsburgh. I think they'll beat Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. Let's give them another win, their 10th of the season. However, Christmas Day on Thursday at Minnesota, it's a very tough environment in division. I think the defense by Brian Flores will be a little too tough. Vikings going to be a bit desperate for wins at this point. I think that's an L. I think they do not sweep the Vikings. So split the series. Week 18 at Chicago, Ben Johnson get some revenge here. I think they lose. I think it's a bit of a shocking upset. 10 wins, I think, will be enough for the playoff picture, but 3-3 in division, gonna be rough. And I know the Lions had 15 wins last year. Dropping by 5 would be kind of a shock, but this is a tough schedule. They have 7 road games that are absolutely brutal outside the division. At Baltimore, at Cincy, at the Chiefs, at Tampa is not easy. At Washington, at Philly, and at the Rams, I have them going 3-4 in those road games. I think that's the reason why they're not as elite in terms of the record as last season. A bit of a fall off for the Lions, but 10-7, still legit. Now let's move on to the Vikings, who finished second in this division, barely missed out on the division title, and they moved off of Sam Darnold. Will they regret it? Is JJ McCarthy legit? Let us find out. Week 1, Monday night at Chicago. I think that's a win. I think Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores have way more experience. I think in the season opener with a ton of time to prepare, I will trust the Vikings, even with the rookie quarterback. J.J. McCarthy gets his first win of his career. Week 2, Sunday night versus Atlanta. Whether it's Kirk Cousins or Michael Penix, I think they are better than the Falcons. I think especially at home, that's a really tough environment to play in for a road team. The season opener at home will be a win as well. So 2-0, great start to the year. And then week 3, Sunday morning versus Cincinnati. We've seen the Bengals struggle early in the year. I think that's another win, 3-0 to kick off 2025. Then they go on a road trip to Europe. Sunday, week 5, in the morning in Dublin, Ireland, they take on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. And if you look at Mike Tomlin's record when it's a non-traditional setting, whether it's on Thursday night or just a random day of the week that's not Sunday, usually Mike Tomlin loses. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bit tired from the road trip, and I will give it to the Vikings. Younger team gets the dub in Dublin. So 4-0 to start the season. They started off 5-0 last year, and they traveled to London the week after against Cleveland. They are much better than the Browns. Also, less travel time. They will be more rested than the Browns for this one. So just like last season with Sam Darnold, they start off 5-0 with a week 6 bye that kills the momentum. I think at this point, even though they're undefeated, it's going to be very difficult to rack up a ton of wins. This is a very, very difficult stretch starting in week 7, Sunday morning versus Philly. They're not beating the reigning Super Bowl champions. Jalen Hurts, Saquon will beat him. That's an L, the first of the year, in week 7. Then week 8, Thursday night at the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh will know the weaknesses of J.J. McCarthy, and that momentum from that 5-0 start is gone. That's another L, their second in a row. Then week 9, Sunday morning at Detroit. I don't think they're better than the Lions. At this point in time, J.J. McCarthy not quite ready, and on the road, very tough environment. That's another L, their third in a row, and it's starting to get a bit dicey. 5-0 to 5-3. I think it gets worse. Week 10, Sunday morning versus Baltimore. The Ravens are extremely tough to beat, especially by a team out of conference. So their 4th loss in a row. There's no way I'm picking J.J. McCarthy over Lamar Jackson. 5-4, pretty disappointing after a 5-0 start. So to avoid falling down to 500, they have to beat Chicago at home, and I don't think Caleb Williams will be ready for the home field crowd in Minnesota. That's a big advantage. Give me a win for the Vikings to get back on track in week 11. Week 12, Sunday morning at the Packers. They got to travel here, and Matt LaFleur will get the best of them. I do not think they beat Jordan Love in this one. So another L, their 5th of the season. And then week 13, Sunday at Seattle in the afternoon time window. A bit of a primetime matchup, not exactly, but most of the eyeballs will be on this one. I don't think they regret moving off of Sam Darnold. I think they beat him in the Seahawks home stadium. Give me a win, their 7th of the year against the Seahawks. Then week 14, we got Sunday morning versus the Commanders, and I'm going to call upset here. I think at home, it's a different story. Brian Flores' defense will find some cracks in Washington's offense. Maybe Debo's not fully healthy. Give me a win for the Vikings on the crux of their defense. Week 15, Sunday night at Dallas, a game you think they can win, but historically the Cowboys actually beat the Vikings a lot of the time. Give me an L at Dallas on the road. Not as easy as it might seem. Then week 16, Sunday morning at the Giants. I'm going to give them a sneaky L here. I think it's a trap game. I think they can overlook their opponent. They have a Christmas Day game next Thursday versus the Lions. I think they'll be looking ahead to. And I think Brian Daboll, knowing full well that he's not keeping his job, is going to try his best to win a game and mess up the draft pick for the Giants at the end of the year. We've seen the Vikings lose to the Giants in the playoffs and Daniel Jones. I think it happens here again. Give me an L against Jackson Dart and the New York Giants. A disappointing game in week 16. But week 17, Christmas morning, Thursday versus Detroit. And that home crowd going to be a big advantage, a difference maker. That is my tiebreaker. I'm taking the Vikings in week 17 on Christmas Day. A win for Minnesota. So at this point, they're 9-7, and the Lions are right there at 10-7. This game is going to be critical, but I think they get swept by the Packers. Last year, the Packers struggled in division. I think it's going to be different this season, and I'm going to give it to Green Bay here, I think Jordan Love finds his footing and gets the dub. Vikings fall to 9-8. Big drop off from last year with 14 wins. But will 9-8 be enough for a playoff berth? Maybe as a wild card team, gonna be a little tough though to sneak in with only 9 wins. Now let's move on to the Packers, who finished third in this division. And if you look at the Packers' schedule last year, they actually beat a ton of teams except for their own division. They were really, really good. I think they fix some of those holes. Maybe Matthew Golden is the piece they need. But week 1, Sunday home opener versus Detroit. Lions are missing their coordinators. I think they're going to pounce while they can. Give me the Packers here, upsetting the Lions in week 1. Week 2, we have Thursday night versus Washington. Don't think they're better than Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Give me an L in week 2. Then week 3, we have Sunday morning at Cleveland. That's a win. The Browns suck. Week 4, Sunday night at Dallas. Ain't no way I'm taking Brian Schottenheimer and Dak Prescott. Give me their 3rd win of the season in week 4. Week 5 bye very early. Definitely not ideal, but a chance to get Matthew Golden even more ingrained in the offense. So they use the practice time well, but week 6, Sunday versus Cincinnati, not an easy matchup. I think the Bengals will have their act together at this point. Give me an L for the Packers. I think Joe Burrow and that passing game is just too hard to stop. With no Jair Alexander, how are they going to stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? Give me an L against those elite receivers. Then week 7, Sunday at Arizona. Don't trust Kyler Murray, even on the road. Give me the Packers. That's a win. Week 8, Sunday night at Pittsburgh. I think they will get the best of Aaron Rodgers, even on the road. Give me Matt LaFleur over Mike Tomlin. Jordan Love beats his former mentor. Then week 9, Sunday morning versus Carolina. I have some hope for the Panthers this season. I think they're decent, but I don't think they're better than the Packers. Give me a win for Green Bay, their 3rd in a row. Then week 10, Monday night versus Philadelphia. A big test to determine if they're legit or not. I think that's a loss. I do not think they're better than the Eagles. But week 11, Sunday morning at the Giants. They're definitely better than New York. Give me another win here. And then in week 12, Sunday morning versus Minnesota, I do think they get the win. I think they'll get it done at home, as I previously mentioned. Then week 13, Thanksgiving at Detroit. Bit of a short week of rest here. And typically, these teams play very tough on the road, but this year I'm taking the home team in both matchups. They will not sweep the Lions. They take a loss on Thanksgiving Day. Then week 14, Sunday morning versus Chicago. They usually beat the Bears, especially at home. Don't expect Caleb Williams to get the job done. Give me a win week 14 against the Bears. Then week 15, Sunday at Denver. That's a loss. I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton will be firing on all cylinders. At this point in time, their team is going to be really tough to beat. That defense will be elite in this one. So road game in altitude, tough environment. That's an L. And then week 16, Saturday at Chicago. We saw an upset last year in week 18. The Bears did beat the Packers. I think they'll split the series once again. Caleb Williams going to find a way in Chicago. Give me an L for the Packers. Then week 17, very difficult matchup. And just like the other NFC teams going against the Ravens, even at home, give me a win for the Ravens, a loss for Green Bay. Their 7th loss of the year at 9-7, going to be battling for that playoff spot. But week 18 at Minnesota, I mentioned it in the Vikings prediction. I think they win. I think they sweep J.J. McCarthy. I think they get their 10th win of the year, and that puts them tied with the Lions. But in division, the tiebreaker goes to best record in those division games, and the Packers have a 4-2 record in division, the Lions at 3-3. That means the Packers have the tiebreaker. They're in the driver's seat for the division title. So far, 10 wins is what it takes to get the job done. Can the Bears beat that? Let's find out. Week 1, Monday night versus Minnesota. I do not believe Ben Johnson is well equipped enough at this point in his career to be better than Kevin O'Connell. So all that extra prep time, going to take the Vikings in that one. That's an L to start the season for Chicago. Their offense is going to be really good, but I don't know if their defense will play up to speed like we've seen them historically in the past. But week 2, Sunday morning at Detroit, Ben Johnson traveling to his former team. Don't think he's quite ready for the moment. Give me an L once again. I think they start off 0-2. Bears not starting off too hot. But week 3, Sunday versus Dallas, I think their offense is going to be too tough to stop, and I do not trust Brian Schottenheimer also a rookie head coach. So Ben Johnson gets the best of him. I think the offense is too good in this one. At home especially, the Bears usually play better. So their first win of the season comes in week 3 against Dak Prescott. And then week 4, Sunday at Las Vegas. The Raiders are much more improved, but I'm not convinced Chip Kelly and that offense will all figure it out that quickly. So week 4, I'm going to take Ben Johnson this one, even on the road. I'll give them a win. So 2-2 entering the bye, early bye to get their footing back. They'll improve during this bye week. But week 6, very tough matchup Monday night at Washington. I'm definitely taking Jaden Daniels, definitely the better team there. That's an L for Chicago. And then week 7, Sunday versus New Orleans. Kellen Moore, also rookie head coach. This one should be easy. Do not trust the Saints quarterback at all. Give me a win at home versus the Saints. Then week 8, we have Sunday at Baltimore, and there's no way they're beating Lamar Jackson, especially on the road. That's an L. Week 9, Sunday morning at the Bengals. Definitely going to take Joe Burrow. That's another L. And then week 10, Sunday morning at the Giants. They finally catch a break. Give me a win here against maybe Jameis Winston, maybe Jackson Dart. Not quite sure. I don't think it matters who the quarterback is for the Giants. The Bears will win that one. Then week 11, they have Sunday morning at Minnesota, and J.J. McCarthy will figure it out. I do not trust Caleb Williams in that brutal Vikings home environment. Give me an L on the road at Minnesota. Brian Flores' defense will give them some problems. But in week 12, we have Sunday morning versus Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Mike Tomlin over Ben Johnson. Aaron Rodgers still owns Chicago. And then week 13, Black Friday game at Philadelphia. It may sound weird because I've given them some maybe easier games with losses. I think they pull an upset here. I think they really play up to competition. The reigning Super Bowl champions, that's a matchup they're looking forward to. So on Black Friday, give me a win at Philadelphia, an upset for Caleb, and some optimism in the building that, hey, maybe our record is not as indicative of what type of team they are. Maybe they're better than their record would indicate. So good vibes in the building after this game, but then traveling to Green Bay, I'm going to give them an L against the Packers. I think they're a bit beaten up, and the Packers usually take care of business. That's an L once again. But week 15, Sunday morning versus Cleveland, they're definitely better than the Browns. At this point, it might be Shadur Sanders, but Caleb Williams will get the dub. And then week 16, they're trying to scrap things together. They're trying to claw their way back into contention. Saturday at Green Bay, I think just like last year, Caleb Williams splits the series and finds a way to win. So that's a win in week 16. And then week 17, Sunday night at San Francisco, just like last year, I don't think they have what it takes to beat Kyle Shanahan in the San Francisco home field. So that's an L, second year in a row. They can't beat the 49ers. And then week 18 versus Detroit, here is where I think they play spoiler. The Lions need this win to get to 11 wins and take the division. I think Ben Johnson spoils their season. That is the missing piece for Detroit. Give me a win for Chicago. Kind of meaningless. 8-9 is the final record. A losing season, but closing it out with a 4-2 record does point things in the right direction. Reason for optimism heading into next year. So as much as Bears fans might hope that this is going to be their season, I just don't think they're there yet. They don't need to make the playoffs to have a successful year. They just need the offense to get right and for them to average closer to 30 points per game. Caleb Williams needs to look good, even with a losing record. I think overall the season is a win for Chicago because they're much better than last year. Heading into 2026, they'll be a tough team to beat. So this is how I see it for the NFC North. I have the Packers winning it at 10-7. Based on tiebreakers, a 4-2 division record is the only reason they have what it takes to be better than the Lions. But the Lions, I think, are a better team overall. It's just a very difficult record. 7 road games, as I mentioned, against brutal opponents. At some point, things are not going to go their way. So rough year, 10-7, bit of a fall off without those coordinators. And then the Vikings also fall off. It's not Sam Darnold so much as it is just a tough schedule and the rookie bumps in the road for J.J. McCarthy. So Vikings at 9-8 finish third, and then the Bears at 8-9. Better than last year, but still last place in the division. This is what I'm expecting for the NFC North. So very tight competition between these 4 teams. Not as easy of a schedule as it was last year. So that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Maybe you favor a different team than I do. I do think the Packers will come out on top with a home playoff game next season. So if you enjoyed, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and if you want more content like this, ring the notification bell. You'll be notified for all my new content. But that's going to be it for me. My name's Adam Riancho. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.